Who knows more of gods than I? The horse gods, fire gods, gods made of gold with gemstone eyes, gods carved of cedarwood, gods chiseled into mountains, gods of empty air. I know them all. I've seen their peoples garland them with flowers and shed the blood of goats and bulls and children in their names. I've heard the prayers in 100 tongues. Cure my withered leg, make the maiden love me, grant me a healthy son, save me, succour me, make me wealthy, protect me. Protect me from mine enemies, protect me from the darkness, protect me from the crabs inside my belly, from the horse lords, from the slavers, from the sellswords at my door. Protect me from the silence. Godless. Why, Euron, I'm the godliest man ever to raise sail. But you serve one god, damn fair. But I have served 10,000. From Ib to Assai, when men see my sails, they pray. They pray to trees and golden idols and goat-headed abominations, false gods, and for that sin, I kill them. I spill their blood upon the sea, and sow their screaming women with my seed. Their little gods cannot stop me, so plainly they are false gods. I'm more devout than even you, Euron. Perhaps it should be you who kneels to me for blessing. Robert could piss in a cup and men would call it wine. But I offer them pure, cold water, and they would squint in suspicion and mutter to each other about how queer it tastes. If someone said, I magicked myself into a boar to kill Robert, likely they would believe that as well. I have no doubt that Cersei had a hand in Robert's death. I will have justice for him. Aye, and for Ned Stark, and John Arryn as well. And for Renly. I dreamed of it, sometimes, of Renly's dying. A green tent, candles, a woman screaming, and blood. I was still abed when he died. Your Devon will tell you he tried to wake me. Dawn was nigh, and my lords were waiting, fretting. I should have been a horse, armoured. I knew Renly would attack at break of day. Devon says I thrashed and cried out, but what does it matter? It was a dream. I was in my tent when Renly died, and when I woke, my hands were clean. Renly offered me a peach at our parley. Mocked me, defied me, threatened me, and offered me a peach. I thought he was drawing a blade, and I went for my own. What was his purpose? To make me show fear? Or was it one of his pointless jests? And he spoke of how sweet the peach was. Did his words have some hidden meaning? Only Renly could vex me with a piece of fruit. He brought his doom on himself with his treason. But I did love him, Davos. I know that now. I swear, I will go to my grave thinking of my brother's peach. Is a broken man an outlaw? Well, there are many sorts of outlaws. Just like there are many sorts of birds. A sandpiper and a seagull both have wings, but they are not the same. The singers love to sing of good men forced to go outside the law to fight some wicked lord. But most outlaws are more like this ravening hound than they are the lightning lord. They are evil men, driven by greed, soured by malice, despising the gods and caring only of themselves. Broken men are more deserving of our pity, though they may be just as dangerous. While most are common-born simple folk, who have never been more than a mile from their house where they were born until the day some lord came round to take them off to war. And poorly shod and poorly clad, they march away beneath his banners, ofttimes with no better arms than a sickle or a sharpened hoe, or a maul they made themselves by lashing a stone to a stick with strips of hide. Brothers march with brothers, sons with fathers, friends with friends. They've heard the songs and stories, so off they go with eager hearts, dreaming of the wonders they will see, of the wealth and glory they will win. War seems a fine adventure, the greatest any of them will ever know. And then they get a taste of battle. Some, that one taste is enough to break them. Others go on for years, until they lose count of all the battles they have fought in. But even a man who survived 100 fights can break in his 101st. Or brothers watch their brothers die. Fathers lose their sons. Friends see their friends trying to hold their entrails in after they've been gutted by an axe. They see the lord who led them there cut down, and some other lord shouts that they are his now. They take a wound, and when that's still half healed, they take another. There is never enough to eat. Their shoes fall to pieces from the marching. Their clothes are torn and rotting, and half of them are shitting in their breeches from the drinking bad water. If they want new boots, or a warmer cloak, or maybe a rusted iron half-helm, they need to take them from a corpse. Before long, they are stealing from the living too. From the small folk whose lands they're fighting in. Men, very like the men they used to be. But they slaughter their sheep and steal their chickens, and from there, it's just a short step to carrying off their daughters too. And then one day they look around and realize all their friends and kin are gone. They are fighting beside strangers beneath a banner they can hardly recognize. They don't know where they are or how to get back home, and the lord they're fighting for doesn't know their names, yet here he comes, shouting for them to form up, to make a line with their spears and scythes and sharpened hoes, to stand their ground. And the knights come down on them, faceless men clad all in steel, and the iron thunder of their charge seems to fill the world. And the man breaks. Or he turns and runs, or crawls off afterward over the corpses of the slain, or steals away in the black of night. He finds some place to hide. All thoughts of home is gone by then, and kings and lords and gods mean less to him than a haunch of spoiled meat that will let him live another day, or a skin of bad wine that might drown his fear for a few hours. The broken man lives from day to day, from meal to meal, more beast than man. Lady Brienne is not wrong. In times like these, the traveller must beware of broken men and fear them. But he should pity them as well. Father, I wish to confess. I wish to confess. I saved you. I saved this city and all your worthless lives. I should have let Stannis kill you all. I'm guilty. Oh, guilty is what you want to hear. I didn't poison the king, no. Of that, I'm innocent. I'm guilty of a far more monstrous crime. I'm guilty of being a dwarf. And I'm on trial for that. I've been on trial for that my whole life. And I have nothing more to say but this. I did not do it. I did not kill Joffrey, but I wish I had. Watching your vicious bastard die gave me more relief than 1,000 lying whores. I wish I was the monster you think I am. I wish I had enough poison for the whole pack of you. I would gladly give my life to watch you all swallow it. But I will not give my life for Joffrey's murder. And I know I'll get no justice here. So I will let the gods decide my fate. I demand a trial by combat. Lord Peapod, if you were a man, I would kill you for that. But my sword is made of too fine a steel to besmirch it with craven's blood. Aye, men are dying. More will die before we see Winterfell. What of it? Well, this is war. Men die in war. That is as it should be, as it has always been. I want to live forever in a land where summer lasts 1,000 years. I want a castle in the clouds where I can look down over the world. I want to be 26 again. When I was 26, I could fight all day and fuck all night. What men want does not matter. Winter is almost upon us, boy, and winter is death. I would sooner my men die fighting for Ned's little girl than alone and hungry in the snow, weeping tears that freeze upon their cheeks. No one sings songs of men who die like that. And as for me, I am old. For this will be my last winter. Let me bathe in Bolton blood before I die. I want to feel it spatter across my face when my axe bites deep into a Bolton skull. I want to lick it from my lips and die with the taste of it on my tongue. They will not love me, you say. When have they ever loved me? Or how can I lose something I never owned? Well, I stopped believing in gods the day I saw the Wimproud break up across the bay. Why, any god so monstrous as to drown my mother and father would never have my worship, I vowed. In King's Landing, the High Septon would prattle at me of how all justice and goodness flowed from the Seven. But all I ever saw of either was made by men. So why trouble with this new one? I have asked myself as well. I know little and care less of gods, but the Red priestess has power. I trusted in Cressen's wisdom and your wiles. And what did they avail me, smuggler? The Stormlords sent you packing. I went to them a beggar, and they laughed at me. Well, there'll be no more begging, and no more laughing either. The Iron Throne is mine by rights. But how am I to take it? There are 4 kings in this realm, and 3 of them have more men and more gold than I do. But I have ships, and I have her, the Red Woman. Well, half my knights are afraid to even say her name, did you know? If she can do nothing else, a sorceress who can inspire such dread in grown men is not to be despised. A frightened man is a beaten man, and perhaps she can do more. I will find out. When I was a lad, I found an injured goshawk and nursed her back to health. Proudwing, I named her. She would perch on my shoulder and flutter from room to room after me and take food from my hand. But she would not soar. By time and again, I would take her hawking, but she never flew higher than the treetops. Robert called her Weak Wing. He owned a gyrfalcon named Thunderclap who never missed her mark. One day, our great uncle, Sir Harbert, told me to try a different bird. I was making a fool of myself with Proudwing, he said. He was right. The 7 have never brought me so much as a sparrow. It is time I tried a different hawk, Davos. A red hawk. Soon I must return to the feast to toast my friends affray. They watch me, sir. Day and night their eyes are on me, noses sniffing for some whiff of treachery. We saw them. The arrogant Sir Jared and his nephew Rhaegar, that smirking when we wears a dragon's name. And behind them both stands Simon, clinking coins. That one has bought and paid for several of my servants and 2 of my knights. One of his wife's handmaids had found her way into the bed of my own fool. If Stannis wonders why my letters say so little, it is because I dare not even trust my maester. Theomore is all head and no heart. You heard him in my hall. Maesters are supposed to put aside old loyalties when they don their chains, but I cannot forget that Theomore was born a Lannister of Lannisport and claimed some distant kingship to the Lannisters of Castle Rock. Foes and false friends are all around me, Lord Davos. They infest my city like roaches, and at night I feel them crawling over me. My son Wendell came to the twins a guest. He ate Lord Walder's bread and salt and hung his sword upon the wall to feast with friends. And they murdered him. Murder, I say, and may the phrase choke upon their fables. I drink with Jared, jape with Simon, promise Rhaegar the hand of my own beloved granddaughter, but never think that I have forgotten. The North remembers, Lord Davos. The North remembers, and the Mummer's farce is almost done. My son is home. If you were not my brother's daughters, I would send the three of you back to your cells and keep you there until your bones were grey. Instead, I mean to take you with us to the water gardens. There are lessons there, if you have the wit to see them. I told the story to Sir Balon, but not all of it. As the children splashed in the pools, Daenerys watched from amongst the orange trees, and the realization came to her she could not tell the highborn from the low. Naked, they were only children, all innocent, all vulnerable, all deserving of long life, love, protection. There is your realm, she told her son and heir. Remember them in everything you do. My own mother said these same words to me when I was old enough to leave the pools. It is an easy thing for the prince to call the spears, but in the end, the children pay the price. For their sake, the wise prince will wage no war without good cause, nor any war he cannot hope to win. I am not blind, nor deaf. I know that you all believe me weak, frightened, feeble. Your father knew me better. Oberyn was ever the viper, deadly, dangerous, unpredictable. No man dared tread on him. I was the grass, pleasant, complacent, sweet-smelling, swaying with every breeze. Who fears to walk upon the grass? But it is the grass that hides the viper from his enemies and shelters him until he strikes. Your father and I worked more closely than you know, but now he is gone. The question is, can I trust his daughters to serve me in his place? There it is. There's the look. I've seen it for 17 years on face after face. You all despise me. Kingslayer. Oath breaker. A man without honor. You heard of wildfire. The Mad King was obsessed with it. He loved to watch people burn. The way their skin blackened and blistered and melted off their bones. He burned lords he didn't like. He burned hands who disobeyed him. He burned anyone who was against him. Before long, half the country was against him. Aerys saw traitors everywhere. So he had his pyromancer place caches of wildfire all over the city, beneath the sept of Baelor and the slums of Flea Bottom, under houses, stables, taverns, even beneath the Red Keep itself. Finally, the day of reckoning came. Robert Baratheon marched on the capital after his victory at the Trident. But my father arrived first, with the whole Lannister army at his back, promising to defend the city against the rebels. I knew my father better than that. He'd never been one to pick the losing side. I told the Mad King as much. I urged him to surrender peacefully, but the king didn't listen to me. He didn't listen to Varys, who tried to warn him. But he did listen to Grand Maester Pycelle, that grey, sunken cunt. Oh, you can trust the Lannisters, he said. The Lannisters have always been true friends of the crown. And so we opened the gates. and my father sacked the city. Once again, I came to the king, begging him to surrender. He told me to bring him my father's head. Then he turned to his pyromancer. "Burn them all," he said. "Burn them in their homes. Burn them in their beds." Tell me, if your precious Renly commanded you to kill your own father and stand by while thousands of men, women and children burned alive, would you have done it? Would you have kept your oath then? First, I killed the pyromancer. And then, when the king turned to flee, I drove my sword into his back. "Burn them all," he kept saying. "Burn them all." I don't think he expected to die. He meant to burn with the rest of us and rise again, reborn as a dragon to turn his enemies to ash. I slit his throat to make sure that didn't happen. And that's when Ned Stark found me. You think the Honourable Ned Stark wanted to hear my side? He judged me guilty the moment he set eyes upon me. By what right does the wolf judge the lion? By what right? Kingslayer. Jaime. My name is Jaime.